Hello and what is up, YouTube? It's G3 Iron, your balding, beardless friend here with some data mined info. No, this is not original from me. Just saw this pop up on the subreddit. Somebody has gone through and data mined information about the passive skill trees that are going to be available in the upcoming 321 Crucible League. So, couple things. First off, apologies for the massively bright white background. It's so that way I can see and read better. And then also, secondly, if you want no spoilers about Crucible passive trees, if you don't want your hype to be enlarged, then simply skip this, right? Stop right here, take a deep breath, take a moment, go watch some more build guide suggestions or something else, go get another cup of coffee, for instance. Drink decaf, though. Don't drink caffeinated coffee. And for everybody else, we'll take just a moment, and we'll be right back with some more spoilers and some reasons that our hype might last longer than 4 hours, and maybe we'll need to inform somebody about it. Did everybody who doesn't want spoilers go away? All right, so here's the deal. We have got this massive document that is being currently updated. It's a bunch of information. It's in a whole bunch of different languages because this is just data that is being pulled directly. And so I'm just going to try and read some of the English ones. I'm going to read what I think might be some of the more exciting-ish stuff. And I did bring this over into a Google document, and in the Google document, it is, according to the stats here, there's 495 pages worth of info, but again, that's, it's not paragraphs here, but still the word count on this thing is 47,000 words. Now, that's including a lot of words that are not in English, so I don't think there's 47,000 lines of text or mods that we really need to be aware of. But that being said, we're going to try and search this sucker. We're going to look for a couple of different skills. The link for this document that's being constantly updated is going to be down below, as well as the Reddit thread. So that way you can look with all of your questions that you've got for this. So I wanted to go through and ask, essentially search the document for a couple of different skills that people might be playing and see what those look like. If you would like to look through the document yourself and search it, etc., and then make your own comments down below, you are more than welcome to do so. All right, so the first one that we're searching is Righteous Fire. This is what we have here. Righteous Fire and Fire Beam regenerate X mana per second while enemies are within. Okay, so maybe there's like an radius here when somebody is within your Righteous Fire damage, you are going to be regenerating mana. So regenerate mana per second while an enemy is in your Righteous Fire or your Scorching Beam, which apparently in the coding process, Scorching Beam or Scorching Ray is known as Fire Beam. So that's kind of interesting. So Righteous Fire with mana. If you go MOM, Righteous Fire, that's going to be useful for you. If you're not playing MOM Righteous Fire, if you're just playing full-on mana reservation Righteous Fire, probably not going to be that exciting for you. All right, next up on our search is going to be Spark. And so this is what we've got for Spark. Increase Spark duration when cast by a totem, while you also have a Lightning Tendrils totem. And then a second line, reduced Spark duration when cast by a totem, while you also have a Lightning Tendrils spell totem negate 1. So that's interesting. Like, is there both of these at the same time? I'm not quite sure how that's actually going to work, how the language is going to be parsed on that. Somebody who's smarter in terms of coding is going to figure that out for me. All of my work that I've done in gaming, by the way, has been in community relations, not in programming. So those of you who are way better and way smarter with programming are going to figure out this language. But that seems to be interacting, giving you a bonus for your Spark if your Spark is cast from a totem while you also have a Lightning Tendrils totem. So some level of multiple skills being used, multiple active damaging skills being used. Some attempt to justify and incentivize that sort of approach to gameplay. Okay, the next time Spark comes up is down here. Spark totems comes up. So this says Lightning Tendrils releases fewer pulses between stronger pulses when cast by a totem, while you also have a Spark spell totem. So there's fewer pulses, whatever that means. when cast by a totem when you have a spark spell. So there's some level of like interaction. Things seem to be paired up, right? So Righteous Fire was paired up with Scorching Ray. Spark seems to be paired up with Lightning Tendrils. So let's not be shocked if that continues to be a trend throughout the rest of the notes and the searches that we take a look at. Snipe is a relatively newish support and sort of now available skill that was previously available on the Asalium. I always say it wrong. Unique Helmet. Let's take a look at what this is going to be. There's one that's a percentage chance to avoid being stunned while channeling Snipe. So not terribly helpful, but that's on there. Also, increased attack speed with Snipe. That could be awesome. And then also potentially reduced attack speed with Snipe. Negate 1. Interesting. Snipe max stacks. So more maximum Snipe stages, which is a big deal for Snipe because Snipe gains a huge amount of damage the more you channel it, the more stages that you're at. So that could be a pretty big deal for Snipe. Next up is Venom Gyre. Venom Gyre, it seems to be that it is paired with Cobra Lash. So we've got chance for bleeding inflicted with Cobra Lash or Venom Gyre to deal 100% more damage. That's a lot. Chance for bleeding. So you've got to be playing Bleed Cobra Lash or Bleed Venom Gyre. But either way, there's a chance. We don't know how strong that chance is, but there's a chance to just deal 100% more damage. That's a lot. That's potentially a big buff for Bleed, which people who have been wanting to play Bleed for a long time have been like, bro, can we please get some buffs? So there's potential there. Okay, what else? Cobra Lash and Venom Gyre have percentage of physical damage converted to chaos damage. Oh, that's very helpful. That could be very helpful if you want to go like full-on Fizz to chaos conversion. That could be interesting. So some more conversion shenanigans with Venom Gyre and Cobra Lash. Okay, let's look at some others. Here's another one that may be pretty important for my build if I do decide to level up as a witch. Frost Bombs gain percentage increased area of effect when you cast Frost Blink. So that could be interesting. Your Frost Bomb could get bigger. So like if you're doing the whole drop a Frost Bomb, Frost Blink away, drop a Frost Bomb, Frost Blink away, if you're doing that, your Frost Bomb is going to gain increased area effect. One thing to remember about these is we don't know where on the passive tree for the weapon it's going to be. Remember, there's multiple stages of a passive tree, so that's just potentially interesting. Okay, here's an interesting one that's clearly a downside. Maximum number of summoned Raging Spirits is 3. That one's pretty interesting right here. That's one that like it's one of the bad passives that's available, right? You're not gonna want that. But then take a look at this. Summoned Raging Spirits have Diamond Shrine and Massive Shrine. Oh, that's gonna be very nutty. For those of you who don't know, the Diamond Shrine is all hits always crit, and then the Massive Shrine is increased size, and I also believe increased life. So that's going to be nutty. That's going to be funny to just see like huge floating screaming heads that are also all critting. That's going to be fun. Specters and zombies get combined together. Here's one that's interesting. Raised zombies and specters gain adrenaline for a number of seconds when they are raised. That's interesting. Is it possible? Is it possible that we could see Baron zombies somehow this league? That would be really, really cool. If it could happen. Who knows? Who knows once everything comes out and once we're all playing exactly how it could come together again. But man, if something could make Baron zombies viable again, that would be pretty awesome. The Spectres thing, generally you're in a fight and you're not raising your Spectres. Generally you're raising your Spectres in your hideout. But this is interesting just because it does give you an incentive to actually want to raise your Spectres when you're in combat, right? So that way they actually have adrenaline. So that's potentially interesting. If you're in a boss zone and you can bring your Spectral Corpses with you, right, and use Desecrate in order to pop up your Spectres right as an engagement is going on with the boss, that could be interesting. Then your Spectres that are potentially damage-dealing Spectres would have adrenaline at the beginning of that fight. That could be interesting. I know a lot of players are going to play Bone Shatterer, and so here's the combo for Bone Shatterer. Bone Shatterer is combined with Heavy Strike, and it says trigger level 20 Bone Corpses when you stun an enemy with Heavy Strike or Bone Shatter. So there you go. For those of you who are bow players, here's one that's looking pretty fun. Trigger level 20 Tornado when you attack with Split Arrow or Tornado Shot. That's going to be bonkers. You just trigger it. I mean, you're just automatically having a tornado somewhere. That's yeah, I could see somebody, if they get their hands on this, I could see some meme build creators like being like, "Hey, could we do like a crash on attack sort of thing where we just summon so many tornadoes? Like, what's our attack speed that we can get up to with Split Arrow or with Tornado Shot? How many of these level 20 tornadoes could we actually summon? And even if it's only limited to one, how many times could we tick that going off?" It's going to be very interesting to see where like it summons as well. Does it summon where the attack is hit or where your character is at? There's going to be lots of questions here on this whole interaction here with Tornado or Tornado Shush, as it's said in, I think that's in German, or maybe I think that's in German. Anyway, it's going to be interesting. Firestorm is a gem that's an old gem, but it's getting a new Vol version, and this is what Firestorm has got. So Firestorm is connected with Bladefall, and it's got a chance for Firestorm and Bladefall to affect the same area again when they finish. So essentially a second cast of your Firestorm. So that could be interesting for everybody who is complaining about, Firestorm and its visual clarity as maybe being a reason not to play it. Well, there you go. Maybe there's, more free casts of your Firestorm dropping down. So that's fun. A lot of people have been screeching about Poisonous Concoction and that I've been recommending it. I'm not saying that my recommendation has been justified because I secretly had knowledge of this, just that this is a cool thing that's out there, and who knows if any of us will ever be able to craft this, but this is cool. If Poisonous Concoction or Explosive Concoction consume charges from a sulfur flask, enemies killed by their hits have a percentage chance to explode, dealing 10% of their life as physical damage. So that's normally something that you want to get on a chess piece. It's normally pretty rare. I did an entire screenshot image. I'll try and find it and throw it up here on the video. Last league, of just how many sources of explosion there are in the game. There are a lot of them. There's a lot more nowadays, but traditionally getting corpses to explode is actually something that you've really got to heavily invest into. And so the fact that you could potentially get this onto a shield, remember, because a lot of you are going to go, "Oh, well, you're playing Poisonous Concoction. You don't even have that on a weapon." Remember, shields can also roll all of this stuff in Crucible as well. And the unique helmet that can drop from Crucible can roll, we're not sure what, but maybe it can roll everything. If that's the case, again, this is going to be pretty nutty for Poisonous Concoction. So that's pretty cool. Also, there is another Poisonous Concoction one, which is Poisonous Concoction and Explosive Concoction also consume charges from Sulfur Flask if possible. So ideally, you're getting both of these, right? You're getting both of these on the same shield, in this case, if you're using Poisonous Concoction, or on the same helmet. And then as you're progressing that passive tree, it's going to be tough to craft, but if you can do it, you're then grabbing stuff from your sulfur flask, not just your life flask, and stuff is exploding. So you've then got corpse removal on top of an already pretty strong poison chaos dot based build, or if you're playing Explosive Concoction, which somebody dropped me a comment if you're actually playing Explosive Concoction, because it would be interesting to see or to hear from anybody who plays not poisonous, but Explosive Concoction, what you're thinking of playing this league and how this league is impacting Explosive, because all of my focus has been on Poisonous Concoction, not Explosive Concoction. So it'd be interesting if that's actually a legitimate build and what the patch notes are doing to it. So I'd be interested to see if anybody's got numbers on that or suggestions on that. Wave of Conviction, which is a very popular, oftentimes secondary skill used to apply exposure by a lot of different players, does have this passive that's available. You get a Wave of Conviction damage over time multiplier per 0.1 seconds of duration expired. So that's kind of interesting that there are not just skills for skills that are main skills, which Wave of Conviction has plenty of builds on its own as well, but that's even potentially got some use potentially got some use even as a secondary kind of tech-based skill. There is a reduced effect of non-curse auras from your skills on your minions, so that's one of those options, probably not that attractive, right? That's one of the bad ones. Shaper's Seed unique aura life regeneration rate per minute, so nearby allies gain a percentage of life regenerated per second, so that's interesting. That's like the Shaper's Seed unique aura that's on that particular unique and how that will apply to others. So that's pretty interesting. Next up, banner skills have an increased aura effect. So that's going to be good news for players who take advantage of various banner effects. So I assume there's going to be a whole bunch of melee players who are just going, oh, that's good news for us. So that's good news for a lot of different players who use banners both as techs, for various diverse skills, but also for players who rely on banners to boost their main sources of damage. All right, there is a precision aura effect node. Precision has percentage increased aura effect, so that's interesting. I wonder if there's also one for maybe for clarity, and maybe we'll see if there's one for vitality. All right, it doesn't look like there is, at least at the moment, but there's also Stormblast, Icicle, Pyroclast, Mine, Aura Effect, which reads Stormblast, Icicle, and Pyroclast Mine have a percentage increased aura effect. So that's interesting as well. It's interesting how things are grouped together. That's also interesting. How multiple skills are being essentially fit onto the same passive, just probably because there's lines to be able to do that, and maybe the coding on the back end makes it easier that way. But that's kind of interesting because it sort of adds some interesting economic value to something, because maybe if you're using one skill, but not the other, you don't need to be so narrowly specific as to find that particular passive tree with that particular passive skill on it. Maybe in some way it means that there's going to be more populated useful skills in general than there would be if there were just individual taglines for each skill, but maybe not. Maybe it essentially narrows the field down a little bit. So maybe there's, in general, some more good options than there would be if there weren't two skills associated on the same passive line, but I could be way off on that. All right, here's the last one that I'm going to look at for today, and it is an economic one. And just take a look at this. This is on the passive tree, right? So this is something that you could unlock. Weapon tree local, sell price, mirror shard. Okay? Item sells for an additional mirror shard. So they told us that there were different, currency items that were going to unlock and become available on the passive tree. And at least for what we're showing here on this document, hopefully it's all, completely accurate. It looks like probably none of us will find this, but it's possible. It's possible that you're going to find a weapon, a shield, maybe even the unique helmet that's got a passive tree that says, hey, you can sell this to a vendor for a mirror shard. Anyway, there's a lot more info in here, literally thousands of lines to examine. I encourage you, do your own word search, etc. with the document that's linked down below in the video description. Feel free to drop any comments that you've got about anything that's particularly exciting or particularly disappointing to you about any of the data mine stuff. And if you didn't want spoilers, why the heck did you just stick around for spoilers? Anyway, I hope the upcoming 321 Crucible League is the league that you get a weapon that says you can sell it for a mirror shard, or just a whole mirror drops for you. Thanks for watching that video. If you'd like more information on any of our discussion points today, you can see them down below in the video description. If you'd also like to join our Discord or support our Patreon, you can do so with the links down below. Thanks again, and big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters.